great welcome. Thank you, Montana. Thank you. Aren't you wonderful? Thank you so much for that welcome. Thank you all. Boy, Montana, you know how to welcome a Minnesota girl. Thank you. That's exactly what the Democrats do every time I enter the House chamber. Every single time. I gotta say, this was a shock and awe night. Hasn't it been fabulous? Every part of this event has been wonderful. And I couldn't help but think as I was seated at this wonderful table when your next senator from Montana, Denny Rehberg, stood up here this evening, as I was looking at this beautiful, sparkling, deep navy blue, midnight blue curtain that's up here with all the sparkles. This is big sky country. And I thought, doesn't that look like a big sky night? And the newest constellation to the big sky night is none other than Senator Denny Rehberg. Awesome. It will be so different. I know it's going to take a lot of getting used to here in Montana. It'll be very, very different to have a senator who actually reads the bills they write. Right? Isn't that true? That's true. That's true. That is the Denny Rehberg that I know and see every day in the House of Representatives. He is solid as a rock. You will be able to count on him. You didn't hear balderdash at this lectern tonight. What you heard were promises that you can take to the bank from Denny Rehberg. You are blessed to have this man running for the United States Senate. I also understood that your opponent had sent some protesters out here tonight. I heard that there were maybe about a dozen or so protesters. I'm sure that they were really afraid of this woman who was coming who's 5'2". They were very, very afraid of this lovable little fuzzball. And so this tells me that maybe he's appropriately named. Tester. And so he might be a little testy right now because the patience of the people of Montana is wearing a little thin. They didn't like that vote that he took for Obamacare, and I really think they didn't like that vote that he took this week in the midst of everyone's health insurance premiums going up, in the midst of all of the information coming out from the Congressional Budget Office about the cost overruns of Obamacare, how it's going to cost the federal government, it will cost all of us. He had the chance to vote to repeal Obamacare, and he made his decision with his eyes wide open, and it wasn't the decision that the people here in Montana want, which is to repeal Obamacare. Bad move, Senator Tester. Bad move. I think that's called voter insurance, Denny, coming in 2012. You're going to have a great time. I also want to thank the wonderful Central Committee of Lewis and Clark County. Can I be adopted? Would you consider adopting me here? Talk about a family. This is a family I want to be a part of. We have a very big family. My husband Marcus and I have been married 32 years, just like Denny and Jan, and we have been privileged to raise 23 foster children in our home over the years. Great, wonderful children. And they're all grown, gone, and launched, and we've also had 5 biological children over the years. Our oldest biological is 29. He's a physician now, and our youngest is now 16, and it's her last year of high school. So we have had 28 kids over the years, and we are this close to being an empty nest, and we love these kids, but it's looking pretty good right now. I just want you to know. And when Denny asked me if I would come and speak to you all this evening, I only had one question for him, and it was this: do I have to cook? he said no, and I said, deal, done, I'll be here. And so I was thrilled to be able to come. And I also want to thank all of the legislators that are here, you beautiful state senators and House guys and gals. You do a wonderful job, and I just want you to know it's a thankless job sometimes, but you are appreciated. As a former state senator, I thank you for what you're doing. You are changing this state right now in front of our eyes. We love you. We thank you for what you're doing here. And speaking of trips, I have been going around the country lately, and one state that I visited was Iowa. And I was in Iowa because I was born in Iowa, and Denny mentioned that he was a fifth-generation Montanan. I am a seventh-generation Iowan. And yes, I kind of feel the same way. Go Hawkeyes! And my family came in the 1850s from Norway. They came from Sognefjord, Norway, where there is only 2% tillable land in that territory. And back in the 1850s, my great-great-great-grandparents looked around. They also had 5 children, and they made a big decision that changed their life. They made a decision to sell everything they had and get on a boat and come over to this great country. And part of the reason they did that is because Norwegians had gone before them, and about 80 Norwegians that had come to the upper Midwest wrote a letter back home. They were so enthused with what they saw in this country, they wrote a letter, and I want to read to you just a little part of that letter that induced my family to make the United States their home. And this is what they read. We live under a generous government in a fertile land, where freedom and equality prevail in civil and religious affairs. And without any special permission, we can enter almost any profession and make an honest living. This we consider more wonderful than riches. So think about this statement. Think about that. Think about what we have represented to the world. It's now been 21 generations that have been in this nation. And of course, the Native Americans preceded us here. But for 21 generations, this American ideal has gone forward. And so when we slow down and read this, we live under a generous government. What was generous about the government? Was it welfare payments? Was it health care that was going to be paid by someone else? What was it that was generous? Freedom was generous. That's what was generous from this country. Land opportunities was generous. How many of you have in your background a family member that went out and had homesteaded land, maybe here in Montana or maybe in some other state? We all have the same story that Denny's family has, that my family has. Every one of us, unless you're a Native American, you share this story. And that's why I want to share this with you tonight, because land opportunities were also generous, and natural resources, which you are the Saudi Arabia of natural resources in this country. You should all be sheiks in this room, right?